Great session to have immediately after lunch. Stalwarts here who've turned around malls, who've been very successfully managing malls. And what we'll now attempt to do is try and share with all what kind of strategies have worked, how do we implement those, and how do we actually make malls really great, I mean, from good going on to great. Some of the thoughts that we've been talking about is the strategy only about developer ROI? Is it only about retailers? Is it about customers? What makes it work? So we get on without much ado to ask all the specialists, what are the components of this strategy? So Neeraj, according to you, what constitutes this success? What makes, what parameters do you look at for successful strategies?
If we're talking about success, we need to understand what is success for the shopping malls. Obviously, from the developer side, mall owner side, it is the rental realization. Now, if that is the success, it is a direct function of your retailers who are doing well so that they have an ability to pay that rent. Then, which is a direct function of retailers able to pull in enough customers, consumers to come in. Now, if you connect all these dots and go back to the mix or the design or whatever it is, I think success of a center is related, it starts right from the conceptualization. We believe that mall management begins at the stage of conceptualization, not after the retail spaces are made. Now, that is as far as what the role of mall management should be in a scenario in the life cycle of a mall. Now, if that is accepted, then the second part is how do we manage the mall? Now, management part of it, the operation part of it is it's a simple thing. If you have the ingredients, you can do it. If you do not, then you are always struggling with the compromises. Now,
so Neeraj, what kind of strategies do you deploy to make the mall successful?
Since mall management has been my core forte, I'm taking the questions. See, what I believe is it is a triangle. And have you seen a tightrope walk? Wherein it's a balancing act as well, wherein you have to protect the rights of the developer who has handed over you the property so that he gets a proper ROI. You have to see the interest of the tenant. They get a proper footfall so that they perform and the developer is protected. So it's a vicious circle. And in between the balancing act is the customer. So you have to take care of the customer so that his needs are fulfilled. So these three triangles, if you have to satisfy the customer, you have to see his demand, the customer is evolving, so you have to evolve. Now, and you have to see the developer who has put in his money and he is thinking of the ROI, he is behind your back, that what is the average rent you're getting. And then you have to see the tenants performing so that your ROI is bigger than their expectations. So it's a very tightrope walk, wherein you have to keep on managing without cost cutting and without other things, you can never achieve it.
I would just like to add one perspective to this, and I know I agree with both of you. I believe somewhere because of the way the Indian real estate industry and the banking industry is working, we in India are taking a very short view of the retail shopping center business. You know, all of us are thinking on rents on year one. What is going to be our returns, whether we are going to break even in 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, and numbers vary. But the bottom line is retail is a business of consumption. It's all about people, what they buy, and the purchasing will keep increasing. And the returns, like you said, will increase for both the developer and the retailer. To give that space for that to happen is sometimes also as equal as to find the balance. So the balance has to happen in time frame, which is soft on both parties.
Ketan, what are your overall views and how do you approach a strategy which ensures success for a center?
I think it's fairly straightforward. If the customer is happy, the retailer is happy, the mall developer is happy, and all the stakeholders are happy. It's very simple to say that. But I think mall management strategies, I think as a fundamental rule, start from positioning to zoning tenant mix to marketing, then customer relationships, retailer relationships, and other social media and so on. What we really believe is that if the developer and the retailer integrate and come up with innovative marketing schemes, events, which are very consistent. What we've really realized over a period of time in India is that we are shifting from an operations only or facility management only culture to a now to where malls need to do more marketing, need to be more community-based activities. A lot more initiative has to be going into getting in more footfalls and therefore conversions and therefore returns to the retailer and the developer. So some of the things that we are seeing is that, and we are getting a lot of success with that, is wherever we've integrated the developer and the retailer and come up with events and schemes which are fairly regular and consistent in nature, and involved the retailer and which is really associated with direct purchases. So for example, if you do a marketing event and you ultimately make sure that the retailer gets involved in it, or many retailers get, and then it leads to direct purchases, because there is just no point in doing a marketing activity where there is a lot of money being spent by the developer and there is nothing happening to the retailer. I mean, you many times you hear about saying there's so many footfalls in the mall, but there are no conversions, right? So somewhere, if the mall management company is coming up with a strategy to really have an event, have a promotion, and if the retailers and the other, say the FEC or the food court operator are not benefiting from it, then there's no point to it. So I think somewhere that is a very critical factor in having and formulating a successful management strategy.
It is just, it's more about engaging the customer and retaining him. So you bring the customer and you're already having a product and a tenant mix, the retailer is providing the product, but how do you make him come there more often? They're getting the repeat customer more, getting the fresh ones because you're getting those activities which engage the people. And those activities should translate to shopping in that mall. I think these three basic ingredients.
Okay, so we've spoken about marketing leading to consumption, consumption leading to retailers, and then customer engagement, and then there's retailer integration. Now, these large thing to sound, what else would you, Neeraj, add to this formulation of strategy, if there's anything at all, when you're trying to chart out a success strategy for a center?
See, I'll go back once more to the point that I made earlier. Is it's where if you speak to the developers and you say, what is your expectations out of a mall management or whatever, they say, you do some events, you bring in footfall, you do this, you manage, but I'm not talking about that. All that is given. I'm talking about whether it's your experience, customer experience in terms of the maintenance, or whether it's experience in terms of your marketing program or a loyalty program, all that is given. That is, but what are you going to do if you do not? Yesterday, Ajit made a comment, there is a mall in Bangalore where one side of it is weak, there is no footfall, the other side is doing well. Now, if you have made that mistake, whether it is in the design or whether it's a planning, what will this footfall gonna, what is this marketing program or the events gonna do? Will it help the customer or the tenants which are on the wrong side of the mall? No. So going back if we have to, now, if we have to create a successful mall, and we are talking about success, we must get all the ingredients right to best of our knowledge or experience or whatever, and then ask the mall management to do the job, and that will convert into a successful mall.
I think you have a great point saying it is not just enough to have a plan, but you need to implement it also. Binu, how you have turned around a few malls in Delhi. How did you manage to implement successful strategies?
I, I clearly would say that there's no success formula as such. There's no checkbox like you can check this out and then you can have success at your feet. It depends on many factors. There are malls wherein I agree with Neeraj that there are basic mistakes have been made, and that is why they don't give the desired turnover. So first, you should think what are the mistakes. Most 99% the mistakes are in leasing, because at the time of when the product or the project gets delayed, you are in a hurry to lease. You are thinking that, okay, fine, whatever is coming, just grab it and lease it. And then you say, okay, fine, my rental, average rental is, say, 100 rupees, 120 rupees achieved. But in the long term, it doesn't work. Why? Because you will have some pockets which will work and the pockets which will not work. That means the vision has gone wrong somewhere. Now, leasing, again, is a marriage of 9 years most of the time, and the divorces are messy. So what you have to do that time is to think of those pockets. You have to motivate people to move out of those pockets and put footfall drivers there. In case, that is where the tenant mix has gone wrong. There are times when the marketing strategies are not in sync with the retailers. Like you might have a bigger event planned, which is not actually required. Like I often quote that bringing in Salman Khan will not make the malls work. It will only stress, it will stress your security, it will stress your housekeeping, and people by the time who are shopping also might leave the shopping and come to see Salman Khan. So in the long run, it has not worked bringing celebrities. So having relevant marketing initiatives wherein you can push the footfalls which has arrived due to those initiatives back into the stores. Like View Shop We Pay is one initiative which we do, wherein we reward the customers and we put them back in the shopping units. Another thing is visibility. Sometimes the visibilities are wrong, wherein then you have to give those tenants proper exposure. And I strongly also believe that there is no brand good or no brand bad. A good brand is a brand which works for that demographic. So you have to, and if the demographic is wanting that brand, the brand will work good for you. If it is not, then you've had it. So you should actively see what is my demographic wanting, and then put those brands there. And if the demographic is evolving, you will have to work on shorter leases so that these leases expire and you can evolve with your demographic. I think I talked sense.
Thank you, Anu. Ketan, I'll just ask Subhranshu a question. Now, Subhranshu, you have been privy to many, many strategies by both developers, managers, and all of it. And you've seen them in execution. And Benu and Neeraj made interesting points on tenant mix and marketing. How, according to you, what are some observations which make the strategies go from paper to reality? How did they manage it?
I think execution is the key, and I agree with Benu that many times mistakes do happen in this in starting with design, like he was mentioning, or like she was mentioning about the leasing strategy. I do not see that much of error in a leasing strategy if the tenant mix and merchandising has been planned in advance, but the product may be wrong for the market. The aspirational product may be wrong for that market, and that's what Benu was mentioning. I think somewhere where we in India are going wrong or traditionally don't agree is that, one, as a landlord, I never think my center is in problem. He thinks that, my center is perfect. It's the retailer who is wrong. And second, as a brand, sometimes I don't question that it might be the wrong market, or I might be doing something wrong. Or, the market is not accepting my product and this is not the right market for me. So I think these basic questions, and then this dialogue doesn't happen between the landlord and the developer and the retailer. And when it happens, it's in a language like, you're not performing, so you should move out. Not that maybe this market is not the right, or there are not enough customers for Mac in this market. So maybe we need to get somebody who is little bit lower than Mac to come into this place. So that understanding or that segmentation of the market has not happened so far. We are in a very nascent stage, and I'm saying after 15 years also we are still in a nascent stage. Maybe what the difference is that we used to have 0 centers 15 years back, and we have got maybe 350 centers now, and in most pockets enough number of centers to know that the market exists and what is the type of market. But India as such is not a data-centric market. So if you were to do a similar center in the US, because they are so data-centric, because everything there is recorded, they have a credit card, everybody pays by card, everything is noted down in their tax, you can segment and fragment the market to understand what type of customer it is and what he's buying. In India, you can't. You still have to go through the initial effort of trying to estimate what is the customer wanting based on his research, then trying to give him the product, and then wait for seeing whether it is successful or not. Gut feel backed with research, but still you will go wrong. You will still go wrong because we do not have that many, the retailer himself may not have the experience to be able to turn and sustain or change. And I know some of the smarter retailers go in with one product merchandise mix, and by the time it is 6 to 8 months or 9 months, the store completely looks different. There will be some brands which will be phased out, the price points will be different, the women's will increase, the children's will increase, and they do different amount of strategies, and they do this at store level. And what we are here talking about is doing this at a mall level, completely treating this whole product of a shopping center like a store, where you have to treat the customer with kids' gloves, figure out what he wants, and give him more of it. And you have to keep him wanting to come more. So I think we can go around with all kinds of strategies, but there is no strategy which will not need change. If somebody tells me that they have been successful, I think they're just hiding away their mistakes, and they don't want to share it with you.
Okay, that's interesting.
May I add a point to what Sudhanshu has made is interesting point about data collection and working with the data. Recently, I was talking to Suresh, and he had this thought, and we had tried this earlier when in my earlier assignment in Forum also. What we are in US, if you go to a store and buy potatoes, they send you a recipe of potatoes. If they are tracking the data so closely, if there is a store where a woman has gone and taken anti-nausea pills, they have timed it, and by the time at the right time, they will send the offers for either maternity wear or kids wear at the right time. So what point he's making, and what I think is the next level of marketing strategy, one of them which we believe is going to be the differentiator, is how to collect the data, collate it, and then use it to the right for individualized marketing program. Now, that is one, but easier said than done. I think in malls, because there are multiple tenants, you need, in a large hypermarket, or you can do that, but in a mall where there are multiple tenants, you need to get everybody, all tenants, to share their data. Because end of the day, if mall has to do some program like that, which will benefit the mall, and in turn, obviously, the retailers need to come out back and share that thing on who's buying what, at what rate, or such things. So that is one of the things that is there. It is happening in the world. We need to adopt that.
Ketan, you have managed many centers, and I'm sure you've come across many of these concerns, issues that have been voiced. So Subhranshu said there are some developers in denial, data not being available, we have to have impetus at the store level. So how do you formulate and implement your strategies for success?
I just wanted to say that, in most cases, like Neeraj mentioned, there is a design defect. you know, I'm giving a situation of an operational mall. Okay, it's not. I'm talking about an operational mall. There is obviously a very high probability of a bigger mall, a better mall coming across the road, or say 2 or 3 kilometers away, and then suddenly you have to look at repositioning or reposition your mall. It means that you have to go back to the basics from after building the entire mall, after the mall is operational, and say, okay, now I have to make this product relevant to the catchment, to the primary catchment, to the target audience. I may have to shift my target audience now, since I have a larger competition, a bigger, better mall which is just going to compete with me, and so I have to defend my mall from going towards a completely. And we've seen this kind of happening to the best malls in the country. So therefore, you look at repositioning, you look at aligning your brand mix, getting in categories, getting in adding events or marketing, or like Heart or bazaars, or things by which you make your mall and you differentiate your mall in terms of a product and a brand mix, bring more services so that people feel more comfortable to come to your mall vis-a-vis the other bigger mall. And this is what I'm seeing in real life. I mean, we're facing so many malls, and we see this all the time. And we take up a mall and there's no competition. Suddenly, a huge guy comes across the road and you're like, okay, now I have to change everything undo everything that I did, but you can only do so much. Design, there's only a little bit you can do. Refurbishment, the developer does not want to spend. Marketing, if he's not getting CAM or if he's not getting his rentals, not getting his, he will not want to refurbish. He will not want to spend on marketing. Marketing, whether the mall is doing it well, I mean, it's a chicken and egg situation. If you do, there's no audience if there are no retailers or not many, if it's not fully operational, why would you market? But it's a chicken and egg. You have to get people in, and you have to use all your open spaces, your all the what we call as NLI, non-lease income, all your kiosks, all this to bring in the balance categories, give your mall more options, more services, let the customer feel interested, and involve the retailer and the customer. And once a customer feels gratified about, okay, I went to this mall, you know what, I had a good time, I won a painting contest, or it brings that comfort back to the mall, and it's word of mouth, and he tells his friends and so on. So,
thanks, Ketan. Some time ago, Benu, when we were discussing before lunch, you also agreed, or you were also mentioning repositioning and marketing and positioning. Can you share how you managed to reposition centers to your advantage?
I quite agree with you that you will have to constantly reposition. Now, when we say of repositioning, it is actually changing your leasing matching to the demographics need. So that is the time when the mall was conceived, say the demographic was at one level and you have done your leasing, keeping that in mind. Either it has gone up, aspirational values have gone up, or it has come down. Again, you will have to change the tenant mix. Now, challenging that situation, which is very challenging, wherein another developer, which thankfully my mall, there is no space next to my mall, so another person, there's no chance. But I was just thinking, this is thinking aloud, that we should now have a strategy in place, wherein if I'm planning a mall and I think and I'm very sure that this tenant mix is going to work, and that time you should have an exclusivity clause woven in your contracts, so that the brand which is there, I know the tenants here, retailers are going to kill me, but then if you have an exclusivity clause fixed in for that brand, you are protected at least for some time, so that the brand will remain there, you will have that unique advantage, you will have that cutting edge. Retaining is not only leasing, retaining will be what services are you providing. People are now even going to the extent, like I'm working on that, wherein people who are coming to my mall can also book their railway tickets from my counter. So that kind of conveniences, if you provide, you have won loyalty. The loyalty, if the loyalty in your catchment area is one, half the job is done. Then mall becomes habit. Once a mall has become habit, there's still no time to relax because the other mall is also working. in the same fashion. So it's constant, if somebody remembers who moved my cheese, it is similar to that. So your cheese has to be always protected all the time. So it's an interesting business, and I love it all the time because it is always running after what people want.
Now, Subhranshu, you've seen this cheese from both directions, retailers as well as mall developers. And we are talking about being able to change tenants. I'm sure there are some challenges, and of course there are the upsides. What are your takes on it? What is your view on the challenges? How do you believe we can accomplish these changes?
I think it's actually very problematic, and there's no honest solution, and it doesn't happen in shorter time frames. Even on a normal process, I think 15% of the mall gets churned every year. When you have abnormal process like a shopping center coming opposite you, and you need to position yourself up or down, or maybe you've gone wrong, or suddenly some competition, you need to do it faster, and that involves costs both at your end as well as the retailer's end, because the retailer also has invested in his fit outs. And sometimes what you need to very clearly see is the feasibility of this change and the pacing of this change. You may want that you will be immediately relevant, positioned separately from the new mall. Not possible. Sometimes you can't do it in less than 3 to 4 years, just because somebody has just fitted out and he is just not going to shift. And just shifting him won't change. The other guy has to be willing to come in. That new guy is going to tell, hey, you're in problem. I want to wait and watch and see what you're doing before I put my good money in your mall. And you may not be able to do the full bouquet of change. You will have to do it in phases, one piece at a time. So whilst we say that, it's one product and I'm the owner of 60, 70 stores, when it comes to changing the strategy, it is one store at a time. And genuinely, and that small store of 150 square feet, which is sitting in one place where you want to give to an anchor, might be the one deterrent, which then you have to pay for. And that time, developer has to be willing to take the cost of relocation of that small tenant, because on his overall perspective, it makes sense that he does that repositioning, and this small store might be the one which is stopping it. So I think just to tell in one sentence, it's not easy, it takes time, and there are costs involved. And it's not only the developer who's getting hurt, it's the retailer who's getting hurt as well. So again, you'll have to go through the same triangle and take care of everybody's interest.
And I'll just quote an example here. Sometimes when the vision is not there and you're only interested in filling up the malls. Like recently I came across a mall wherein the developer said the food court is not working, and would you please come and tell me just like that. And I just went there, and the moment I stepped in, I saw the mistake. There was a McDonald's right at the entry. And how do you expect, it's a small mall, people would go up to the food court because it's fast food. So naturally, then that means the moment you signed a McDonald's down below, at the entry, you have signed a death sentence for the food. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's only 1 lakh square feet.
Okay, everybody is now wanting to speak on this.
Neeraj, what are your views?
I wanted to add to what Subhranshu said and whatever. The 3 companies here who are doing mall management here. 4. Great. So what we are doing, a lot of our portfolio is, I'm sure I can speak, is a restructuring or repositioning of shopping center. First of all is, why are we in this mess? So obviously that part we all know and why it is. But what I'm saying, we have done successfully, we have been able to turn around 2 very challenged properties in Bangalore, and there are 2 or 3 where work is in progress. Now, as a common opinion here, that obviously to start with, the mall owner has to have that commitment, has to have that vision, has to be wanting to do a turnaround. They all want, but do they have that commitment to go all the whole hog? That's the first point. Secondly, obviously you do it the right way, starting from the differentiation, if you have to create, or you have to create a relevant concept, bring in the relevant, all that product. But what Subhranshu said is very difficult to move people around. There are small operators, there may be big operators. There will always, the first thing that will come is, who will pay for my interiors that I have done. nobody is willing to accept that this change is going to benefit everybody. You will do it. But these are the relevant questions that come up. Then there could be a small 100 square feet or something, a local player, who will use this as an excuse to say that I will not move unless you pay me off. So these are the very relevant questions that come around. There could be legal issues. There could be, it's a very difficult thing. And of course it takes time. When I started this, I told the mall owner, 1 year, but give me 18 months, because it may take 18 months. But it actually took us 2 years, but we have managed successfully, leased out 100%, we have redone it, and the brands and mall is now performing exceptionally well. So there is a chance, it happens, but it takes a lot of effort from all stakeholders.
Great, thank you. We also spoke a lot about data, about technology, about marketing, about customer engagement. One of the things I think we owe it to all is to say, what are the steps we're using, or how we planning to use technology, or what are our views on technology when it comes to implementation of such strategies? So, Ketan, what are your views on use of technology for data sharing, or for marketing, or customer engagement?
Let me say that I think whenever it comes to marketing events, I think we've, for every mall that we've done, we've formed a very, very comprehensive database over the life history of the mall, whether it's 4 years or 5 years or 3 years. Once we have that database in place, and we continually update them about whatever we do and whatever is coming up, and we send them e-letters and so on. I think after that, when it comes down to implementation of the events, we have to use this database and technology. But I think in terms of marketing, don't think there is much of technology that is being used as of now. I think it's only that we are using this to make sure that we do a good CRM. We have a good relationship kind of a tool, a software to kind of track all the customers who came to this mall, what were the experiences, how did whether they enjoyed an event, because we make sure that we get all the registrations of all the people who participate in all the events. And I think somewhere all that CRM, that software, or whatever we use is ultimately helpful in tracking down the customers, their feedbacks, and then asking them, and inviting them, engaging them again and again for every event, and then making sure that they become more and more loyal, they become more comfortable, and they treat this mall as a mall where they feel that they're welcome, and they feel warm and comfortable. So,
Benu, what are your thoughts on integrating technology to strategies?
Besides what all you said, the smartphones are making my customer smarter. So as my customer is smarter, my reach out is smarter. So what we have done is we have developed app. My DLF Place Saket has a very smart app. We can download that app, and you can get all the information about my mall on that app. Not only that, how many parking spaces are available, what all sales are going on, which is the easiest way to reach, which cinema is playing well, are the tickets, it connects you to the DT site. So all these things, technology, you can exploit technology. Technology is a tool which I encourage everybody to, in fact, the other day I was speaking on that we should also get on E. So technology is something wherein we should exploit it to the maximum, because people are becoming smarter, they are becoming tech savvy. From sitting at their desk, they want to order food, they want to know what is happening and where it is happening, which is the most happening place. Web is deciding. So you should have a very good website. You should have also good mobile this thing, and also, you should use technology to, we are using that technology to have customer friendly mall directories at various places, which can be updated and information can be received from there.
Neeraj, how do you view technology, and how do you view the marriage between technology and successful strategies?
I think nobody can ignore technology. I mean, today we are moving towards things that we had never even thought about 5 years back or 10 years back when the malls, we were in initial malls when we were planning. So there is no question about technology, but what Benu said about app or ability of the customer to get information, relevant information about all the malls, that is for sure. How can we take it forward? Yes, whether one thing is whether we can also include what is on offer for the in terms of if there are any special offers running or such special events running or whatever. I think even the ticket, cinema tickets or the car parking, very relevant. So technology we cannot ignore. And second, I think we need to take it, as I mentioned about data, how to collate that, how to segment it, how to use it. And I think technology will have to play a great or a major role in creating any marketing strategies in going forward, and especially in Bangalore where everybody, and why Bangalore? If we have to take a leaf from West or more advanced countries, everything is happening on technology. And one part which we will have to also contend with is this internet e-retailing, what was discussed yesterday. I think that is how we will have to try to figure out how we can use internet sales, or is it going to affect us, or can we take an advantage of it? And like Roma, Ajit was saying that they sell on internet and ask them to come and experience it. So all those things are very relevant. We will have to take an advantage of that. That is more probably more. I think that's all I can say on that.
Subhranshu, your company is greatly into technology. How do you see technology aiding successful implementation of strategies at centers?
So I think a lot of relevant things have been spoken. I just would like to take a step back. I think right now we are using a lot of discrete technologies in various points. We are not integrating what we understand and learn from each of these points to bring some creditable action points. For example, we use parking technology. So the guy in the parking, and many of them are outside, will tell you that they can count the number of cars, the number of people, what time they came in, what did they buy, how much time they stayed. Are all the centers using this data to see what is the type of people are coming? Are there marketing campaigns geared to increase the footfall in the low parking timing or when the parking is free? We use technology for the social media to make us ourselves relevant. We use apps to tell them that these are the products and this is available. Are we analyzing the technology back that how many people clicked on it and are they coming at that point of time? And they have an app, you can always track them coming into a center. Are we using the data to see that the guy who is using it, not only is he benefiting, but I am also benefiting by checking how many of the impact of it. Are we doing marketing and able to relevantly evaluate the impact? So I think from a country perspective, we may be high up in use of technology, but on the integration and on the leveraging of it, the 1 + 1 is still not level. And I don't think anybody has reached that extreme. Some of us might be at 3, 4, 5, but there is a lot much more to do. And I think the cost of it, the cost of integrating, cost of leveraging it is becoming cheaper. Newer and newer platforms are coming up. But there's one simple thing. I think all of this is done to improve the sales per square feet. And somewhere, we all are getting contented that, okay, customer aa gaya or sale ho gayi, to that's it. We have invested in the technology. We are still not leveraging it because we said that, okay, battle is won. Customer has come and is shopping. The point is not that. The point is that the same customer can be made to buy 1.5. He can be made to spend 6 hours here. He can be made to call his friend and have a meeting here. And that is where us as managers will have to leverage this. If he is coming in and spending 3 hours, we need to figure out what else can we be adding to this 3 hours slot, so that to make it that, okay, he comes and spends 5 hours. Because then he's going to buy something, even if it is a refreshment in the center. So we need to go to the next level. Clearly, we are in play school now.
Clearly, I think so. I think we are deploying technologies. We are partially deploying technologies. We are not leveraging it hard enough. Before opening the questions to the floor, can I ask each of you to give a few sharp takeaways to our audience to say about successful technology, successful strategies for malls? What could these be? Ketu, would you like to share some few sharp takeaways as to what they should consider to create a successful mall strategy?
Positioning, first, design or redesign, whatever. Positioning, brand mix, very consistent marketing, and very, very aggressive mall management.
Two things.
Yeah.
Two things I would add on to your relationship with your tenants, and also your CAM costs have to be low. You have cost cutting at CAM level is very important when you're drawing your strategy, because on that, if your net operating cost is less, you'll be always very happy. Retailers will be happy to work with you, and also loyalty programs.
So, Branshu, what could be your takeaway, few pointers that we have to consider for strategies?
I'll restrict myself to two, and the first is, I think you have to listen to the customer. Common sense works. So this customer knows what is working, what is not working, and you should be able to listen to it. Second is, figure out how you'll correct that and take action immediately. Because there is no reason, whether for cost reasons or whether you have to spend money or it's a difficult thing and how will you handle the tenant or the landlord. There's no reason to delay an action which needs to be taken. It's just an economic loss for taking an action 6 months after when it should be taken today.
Neeraj, what would you advocate that we consider as takeaways, as summary takeaways for strategy?
I think most of the points that we have covered, all I would say is mall management, a good mall management, taking care of the three relationships, tightrope walking in itself is a marketing tool. I think that is a key here. I like to use one analogy which I had used once long time back. Malls are a dynamic and they're always in a state of flux. Now, there was a mechanic who goes for his heart surgery and says, "Doc, how much is it?" Oh, it came to the cost. And he says, "Oh, I'm a mechanic, I'll repair cars, and they don't pay me 1/10 or 1/100 or whatever it is, and they pay you so much." The doctor says, have you ever put your hand in the running engine of the car and try to repair it? Now that's what malls are. Malls are running. You need to think on your feet. You have to get things done, and that is. And I can't list out what it is. It's everything and everywhere. But yes, relationships is the key. Thank you.
Well said, Neeraj. Can we ask any questions from the audience for the specialists?
My name is Ravi Shankar. I'm from Central. Like we spoke about technology a little bit. I would like to ask one question. Is there anybody using, because most of the guys are using post-transaction analysis. I'm talking about buying prediction analysis through social data, like I'm getting SMS that today is your birthday or something. Is there anybody who's using 5 days before through social data or Facebook? I know you can see next 5 days your friend's birthday is going to come. Would you like to plan a gift or something? Is anybody utilizing that social technology to predict the buying of the customer or ensure the customer is, because of social data, ensure the customer to buy from your side through augmented reality, the guy is there, where is located here, since we have spoke about apps and all.
Yeah. So that's exactly my point. Nobody does it. But I think it is just starting, and it's not happening in the real physical world of the shopping centers, but it's happening on the internet. So today, if you go to the internet and buy from an e-commerce site, they give you a shopping basket. You drop it and come back. Next time when you go to the site, they send you an email that last time you came, your shopping basket was half full. Can we give you back the shopping cart so that whatever you selected is still there?
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking. It's happening in internet world. Why? See, we have certain opportunity to, because now we are talking about hybrid model, omnipresence, and all these things. I hope there is an opportunity. Is anybody encashing it? Oh, that's what my question.
I would like to add on to this. In fact, as a matter of fact, we are trying to reach there. We are trying to reach our customers well before their birthdays and we are trying to give them coupons which are relevant in my mall. And my agreements are woven in wherein retailers have to give us some coupons in form of rent, wherein my marketing team aggressively send them mailers before that if you come on such and such date, such and such thing at the concierge is waiting for you. So there are people who are trying, but it is not to that desirable, but still we are there. Like, not even, I would not say we have reached to the class 1, we are at the preparatory stage. But at least it has started.
Yeah,
that is a very, it's a modest
nice
beginning,
one, yeah. Any other question?
Hi, I'm Mayur. You all had spoken about technology and internet sales. Just wanted to ask you all, how do you all envisage the potential threat of internet sales? We have seen categories like music, books, etc. been hit hard. And now there's a surge in fashion categories like electronics. I have two questions. Do we see malls being reduced? I mean, 5 years, 10 years down the lines, do we see malls being reduced to places just to hang out for customers, or maybe only limited to a food court or movie? And for retailers, does it give them upper hand in negotiating rentals? Because they would be more happy to be in the digital space because of the cost factor. So how do you all see that?
Okay. I don't see E as a threat at all. See, everything is growing. The capacity and the consumption of the consumer is growing, agreed. So what is not growing is Mother Earth. If Mother Earth is not growing, then I see E as an opportunity. Why shopping centers are not going to get affected? Good shopping centers, you can't have a cup of coffee over an internet. Have you seen Taj Mahal? If you've seen Taj Mahal, you know that Taj Mahal looks different in photographs, and when you reach there, it's a different experience altogether. So shopping, specific things wherein you can specify, I want this modem, or I want electronic, this specifications, I agree, they should move on to E. But wherein fashion, beauty, and all, where repeat in beauty can happen over E, but first time customer will have to come and look and feel. This cannot be denied. So E should be exploited. It should not be taken as a threat.
So you're saying experiential shopping will have to happen at brick and mortar malls.
Anyway, just to answer one part of your question, internationally in the US, for example, e-commerce only constitutes 6% of all. So, in terms of percentage, it's maybe in India it's seeming a lot, and there's a lot of hype over it in the press and everywhere. But I think brick and mortar, because of the experience and feel-good factor and the kind of stressful lives we lead, we need to go to malls and chill out. So it'll always be there. It'll always grow. And in most cities of India, most metros, really speaking, we don't have the amount of malls that we should be having due to various reasons. So I think malls are only there to grow. As long as they provide good quality, the good products, they'll definitely grow, and business will always grow. And for the retailers, it's always good because they can sell a different product line or at a different pricing or a different quality or whatever from the internet, and they can make their money from there as well, without having all the logistics and all the rental costs and so on. So, and for the customer, it's good as well because they can pay by cash and so on. So everybody stands to benefit, but I don't think the malls are going to suffer because of this.
100% agree.
So I'll just add one more thought, and again, we are not ready for that in India. Some products will change, and I agree with my colleagues here. But what is happening right now, if you see in the US, is malls are becoming the delivery platforms for these e-commerce spaces. So to be effective on the e-commerce world, the future of e-commerce will be physical spaces used as delivery points, and malls will be the nodes for that. That's happening in the US. So if any of you are tech savvy, you'll be able to actually go and check that most of the shopping centers in the US now are considering themselves as the last mile for the e-commerce as well.
Can I cite one example here. There is a brand-free culture which had only web presence, and he opened his first outlet at my mall, and surprisingly, his sales increased threefold. He would sell from the shop, and he would again take orders from iPad on the same shop. So the thing is, I agree with you. There will not only be delivery, but there will be one point wherein you can see the product and order from there. Similar.
Great. We have time for one last question.
See, like you said, the free culture, even from web presence, they move to, even they are coming to departmental stores also. Exactly. Because of inventory. They predicted something, it didn't happen, then they are forced to come, actually. It's because of market dynamics or whatever it is we can say. And my question is, see, like in telecom, the consolidation happened. Each and every company did their own infrastructure or towers and all. Now they started sharing the infrastructure like that. Would you see, as a brand, for experience, I'll share some percentage with malls. For you can say supply chain, I'll share with some percentage with company. If it is going at that level, the consolidation will happen. There will be 3 or 4 players in malls or experience centers, or 3 or 4 players only in supply chain. It's like that. It will happen in India or not?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Could you rephrase the question for
See,
all of us?
what I'm saying is, in telecom, what is happening is, earlier, each and every company is having infrastructures.
Well,
like
we got that. Is your question saying, are we going to be reduced to 2 or 3 malls? Is that the question?
Yes. As an experience centers, I can experience there.
So are you asking if any city will be reduced to just 3 or 4 malls?
It's my question, actually.
So I think there are 2 parts of what we are understanding. One is, will the sharing of infrastructure happen among the retailers or the business? Is in logistics, it's already happening. So if you see future logistics, I think they are now going and offering their logistics to every other company, whoever wants to take it. Walmart has decided that they will do that for everybody else. So it's a clear strategy. You have to use your investment and milk your investment. If you're asking if these malls will become these showpieces, we are not thinking malls are showpieces. I think we are believing here, and I think if you want to argue, we can again continue to argue on that there is no way a physical experience or a social connect can be replaced and going to the internet level. There will be a different type of engagement which happens on the internet, and we are not denying that. And that might be a stronger form of internet connection. But when it comes to a physical, having a cup of tea with somebody, you are not going to send him a coupon of a tea or a picture of a coffee. So you're going to go and physically meet them. And the same is with food, and the same is with entertainment and movies. So the movie industry, for example, in the US is completely digitized. That has not stopped these movie theaters which were existing. So the number of existing movie theaters are under stress, but there is a different genre of movies, the first few days of which the movie theaters work. So that I think that balance has to come. And that balance is not something which we can predict so easily. We can't predict for all categories. We can't predict for all brands. Some brands might be very successful on the internet and not at all successful on the physical world. It's how the balance happens. But I think there's no clear guideline on it. The physical mall shopping centers will revive, will survive, and they will find the space which is not taken by anybody else.
Thank you. Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Subhranshu. Thank you, Ketan. Thank you, Benu. And thank
Ladies
you all
and gentlemen,
for all the questions.
Anand Sundaram, Benu Sehgal, Neeraj Duggal, Subhranshu Pani, and Ketan Sangvi. Could we please have a huge round of applause for our panelists?
Out of the box.